Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we are going to go over how to build your team early on in MLB The Show's Diamond Dynasty. This is going to be specifically tailored to beginners, guys. So a lot of the content I'm going to put on my channel in YouTube specifically is going to be for guys that are newer to the game. So if you're brand new from Xbox and whatnot, in my prior video, I showed you guys how to get started, how to, your settings, things you want to look at, what mode to target first, those kinds of things, and how to really get a grasp of the game. But once you've kind of got a grasp of how things are going and actually playing the game, you need to start focusing on building your team. And that's going to be what today's video is going to be all about. So we are going to walk through the cards to target, the modes to take a look at, as well as some things in terms of what cards early on I think that you guys should go after. So if you do enjoy the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and give it a like. That would help me out a lot. All right, guys, let's get into today's video. All right, guys, so this is my team for ranked seasons. I really haven't even played online yet. I'm still just building my team out. But as you'll see here, there's a lot of the 42 series cards, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit, as well as the 89-hour pools that I got from the Conquest. I'm going to be doing a specific review on that card, as I talked about that in my first video. My pitching staff is really, I had a lot of luck with my pulls for in terms of pitching, but the 91 Felix Hernandez is really good. He's been a blast, and I've really just used him specifically all the way throughout Conquest, which I think is another added bonus of actually playing Conquest. You'll see that the 4 there, I'm actually level 4 parallel with Felix Hernandez, which means that all of his stats get +4. He can get to 5, every card can, and that's what I'm working towards. It just takes a very, very long time, but I'm working towards that. He's been great though so far. So as you'll see, my team pretty good. I'm going to show you guys what I think you should do early on, especially if you're a beginner. And again, all of my videos early on are going to be tailored to the beginner player. So if you're just starting out on Xbox, you've watched my first video, you're getting the feel of the game, you think you're ready to go. Here's what I think you guys should do when it comes to actually start building your roster. I showed you guys how to do the moments. Now it is time to actually start building and getting some really nice, decent players early on. So we are going to go to the showdown mode. So showdown essentially is a draft, and what you're going to do is draft a team and basically play out a few different moments, and then it'll accumulate in a boss battle. And if you're decent at the game, and by decent I mean that you never really struggle on veteran at all in Conquest, you can basically do this pretty much no problem. The only downfall is if you do an affinity mode, or if you do an affinity and you lose before beating the final boss, you basically get nothing. You get a few stubs throughout the way, but basically what you'll do is you'll build up your team by winning these little mini events, and you'll just start building a roster, and then you want to take on the boss battle. And the reason why it's so good is because you get 5 team affinity vouchers, and what you can do with those is trade them in the Team Affinity program. So if you go over to programs, okay, go to Team Affinity, there is 6 now. It's split into 6 instead of individual teams like last year. And I'll show you, I started with the AL East. It's the worst in my opinion, or close to it, just based on the players you get. But again, I'm a Red Sox fan, and Xander Bogaerts is one of my favorite players, so I started there. As you'll see, early on, you'll get a bunch of different packs and variable things. The one things you want to pay attention to are the flashback legends. So you want to select these, and the reason why you want to get more and more of these is because when you go down here to missions, you'll see that each one has a mission tied to it, okay? And what it does on the right-hand side, you'll see rewards, TA4, that means 4 team affinity points, and it's all going to start accumulating. But early on, if you can do a showdown, you'll get 15 for trading in a voucher. Down here, you click on here, and you'll be able to trade in your vouchers here, and if you trade them all in for it, you'll get 15. So after 2 of them, you're at 30, but even easier if you go to moments and do all of these offline moments first, you'll get an additional 10 right out the bat. So if you do 1 team affinity and the 10 moments, you're already at 25, and 25 will basically get you 2,500 subs and the AL East flashback card. And honestly, the AL East one's like, this Soriano card's not bad. Either is Reggie Jackson, so and David Ortiz. So the cards themselves aren't that bad when you're just trying to build your team, but I wouldn't use them for very long, but they aren't awful either. What you want to pay attention to is at 60 is where you get your first 42 overall player, and you'll be able to select from one of these. And again, this is why I think the AL East is kind of the worst one. I'll show you the one in my opinion that you should go after. I took Giancarlo Stanton first, but after you get the first one, okay guys, and you keep going down here, they get quicker and quicker to actually acquire. So the first one is kind of tough. It's the longest. It takes 60, but it's fairly simple. And again, if you get off to a quick start, so again, I would start with all the moments. They don't take long at all. They're just standard moments, okay? And then you could do the affinity conquest. So I did it. You'll get 15 for both divisions. So if you do the East affinity conquest, you'll get the NL and AL done, which is nice. And again, those will take a couple hours, but you'll get 15 team affinity points just for that right there. So that's a big boost as well. And then again, like I said, if you can do the showdowns and actually do them well, they're not very difficult. Like I said, you can rattle off 15 pretty quickly. It is the fastest way to grind. Now, the thing I do want to show you is the AL West, and the reason why the AL West, I think, in my opinion, is the best one is just because all of the options are basically all 5 of these are phenomenal starters right off the bat. So the Yordan Alvarez is great all around. Like when I've used him in this mode, he's been absolutely electric. And basically you can get all of your fielders. I mean, David Fletcher has decent contact, low power, so it's nothing crazy, but he's got really good fielding. He can be your second baseman. Even Jesus Luzardo is a pretty good pitch mix that you can use. And then you've got Kyle Lewis, whose power is great. And then obviously Joey Gallo, who absolutely hit nukes. You have your entire outfield essentially. So if you do this all the way through, you're going to have 5 great starters, all from just playing the game offline. You don't even need to play it online just by doing these showdowns. And it gets very simple after that when you actually look into other ways that you can actually acquire these team affinity points. So like I mentioned earlier, those flashback cards, okay, this is why they're important. Okay, let's say you get all the way to, let's say, the second one, so 90. All right, you've got your 242s, but you've got 3 of these. And why these are important, okay, is because each one of them has a mission tied to it. So this is how you're going to save a lot of time as well as work towards team affinity. That's what's really important about Diamond Dynasty is there's so many things to grind. You want to make sure you're maximizing your time by doing multiple things working towards something. So let's say you've got your 42 player, maybe 2 of them, and 3 flashbacks, okay? Again, you go down to missions, and you'll see each individual one to do. The key thing to see here is that you can do all of their, required mission stuff. So for the breakout green, you have to get 4 extra base hits. You can do that in Conquest, which means while you're grinding this, you get a few done by doing showdown, okay? Then you go and do the conquest with those guys in your lineup, and now you're grinding towards that even more. And it really kind of avalanches and helps you get a ton of these team affinity points early on to help build your team. All right, next up, I want to talk about when you get specific diamond players in any of the programs, let's say. The thing you have to remember is that these cards will always drop in value, guys. The longer that these cards are for free and able to be obtained, the harder the drop in price. So I'll use this one for example. When you get to 175,000 XP, what you can do, because you've been grinding these team affinity cards, you've got a really good team, and you could just keep doing it for every division and basically round out your whole team for free with these team affinity cards. They're not sellable, those ones, but these ones are. So again, when you pack these cards, I would just sell them immediately. And when you go down further, think about this: when you get to 350, the boss himself, and you can choose between these 3, they will drop in the earlier that you get there. So this event will go on, the first inning program will go until, the middle of May, okay? If you can get there within the next 2 weeks, and remember this weekend is double XP for online games, and you grind and get your way to one of these boss battles or boss cards, you can sell them immediately for a really decent price and then buy them back in about a week before the end of the inning program. Like, these cards will always drop, and they get more expensive after they're out of packs when the second inning comes up, because usually there's a trade-in that requires all of the first inning bosses. But for anyone that's free to play looking to make a ton of stubs, that's a really easy way to do it. And again, it's just by trading in one of these free ones. I showed you guys earlier in the last video the daily moments for Ryan McMahon, for example. And that was just a really easy way to get a decent third baseman card early on in these top now 21 cards, right? If you do this set right here, you'll get the Ryan McMahon card, and it's you can sell that for like 8 to 9,000 stubs. It will drop quite a bit though, because these are free and easily acquired to more and more players. So I would sell them as soon as possible now and just go and get a 42 series player. But that's the easiest way to build up stubs and players, in my opinion, early on in this game. And as you're rounding out, guys, when you're looking at players, I really wouldn't recommend a lot of contact hitters. The reason why is that, if you struggle to get runs and hits, okay, and you have a contact hitter up, there's essentially no way that you're going to be able to hit a home run really with him to take a lead. One run is a lot for a lot of the players that are early on in the game, okay? You want to give yourself the ability to hit a home run in almost every at-bat. Now, obviously, the top of your lineup, you want to have a speedy, fast contact hitter. That doesn't really change. But in all honesty, the rest of your lineup, you really want to have guys that absolutely mash, just because every player is a threat to hit a home run. And that's going to give you a pretty big advantage. You also, on your bench, you want to make sure you have a few fast guys there in case you need a pinch run late in the game, or maybe you get into extra innings and, that pinch runner needs to be someone fast. That just makes it pretty easier. In terms of pitchers, look for guys that have really big splits. And by splits, I mean, let's see, like Pedro Martinez, for example, 96-mile-an-hour fastball, a 75-mile-an-hour curveball. When you mix in those a lot with a lot of new players, that's what you want to look for in pitchers. Again, guys, so just to recap, like I said, you want to start taking advantage of Showdown. And again, I'll do one right here for you guys to show you what it looks like. So it costs 500 stubs to enter. And again, you have to win a certain amount. If you lose any of the small blue ones, you just don't get an advantage to your team. But if you lose on the red mini boss battle and then the final boss battle, you essentially will lose and you have to start again. So if you can get far enough, essentially past the first little mini boss, then you're in good shape. And when you're building your team out, again, same kind of situation. You really just want to focus on power at both sides of the plate with righties against lefties, because that's going to give you your biggest advantage. Just from playing this so far, like some of my favorite cards, like Dom Smith and Franmil Reyes have been great for me. And again, Sixto Sanchez has been really good against the CPU, in my opinion. So any of the pitching ones have been really good. But then again, as you're going through this and you're doing your draft, just going through and make sure you're picking guys that have a decent amount of power. There's going to be some options where you don't really have any. At that point, you kind of want to look at speed because, again, getting a run is pretty important, and that's usually a nice little tiebreaker here. Blackman's actually got a pretty glitch swing for me so far. Your reliever, you won't really have to worry about. There's not a lot of pitching ones, which kind of sucks, but again, so there's the Kyle Lewis card. And then it'll round your team out for you. But when you're looking through these bronze, like Justin Upton is a great bronze card to get in these drafts. And but yeah, there's a lot. I'm going to go in depth and show you guys an actual video on specifically how to do better at showdowns, but it's where I want you guys to spend a little bit more of your time now. Once you've got an established base on how to actually play the game, and you've done conquest enough, you feel comfortable, but you're not ready for online, but you still want to build your team. This is where you go next. All right, so I built my squad, and basically now, so the first one is basically playing against the Rays with your showdown squad. Tally 4 total bases without giving up a run in 2 innings. It's fairly simple. And every time you complete a blue one, that final showdown score goes up by 2. So I get 2 to 12. You win this one, it's 4 to 12, 6 to 12. And then all the way down, you can basically make it 12-12 before you go into the final boss. And all you've got to do is get 1 run before you get 15 outs. It's very simple. It's a lot easier than last year, and that will right there will get you 15 team affinity points towards the team affinity program. And it's just like I said, a super easy way early on to build your squad. And specifically, I would start with the AL West and just keep grinding those out. Once you've got a few of the flashback legends, then hop over and do the conquests, and you can take, you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone there. But also make sure you do the moments. These are very easy to knock out and get done, and it'll give you a nice boost as well. All right, guys, again, so that was a lot of info. Again, these videos will always be tailored to the beginners until we get into the more advanced stuff. So let me know in the comment section if you have any other specific questions. And also, you can check me out on Twitch. I go live at 10 a.m. Eastern time every single day playing MLB. So let me know there, and I'll be happy to help with any questions in terms of building your team. Guys, thank you again for all the subscribes and likes on the videos. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.